what I wanted to do today was to sort of welcome you, but also invite you. Is kind of what I was thinking that I would do. Here at UNL, and just quick. I'll be there. Right? Even better. Here at UNL, we sort of operate under this mantra. You'll see it all over the place. You'll hear it if you start to stick around. This idea that every person and every interaction matters. And what that says to me is that as we move through spaces, as we interact with one another, we create the thing that we are a part of, right? And just like Dr. Perkins was saying, right, that your interactions with each other and the way you relate with each other, it creates with this cadre that comes, right? And the same thing is true here at UNL. And so we like to think about that. And so we're inviting you to be a part of that for a few days, to be a part of our UNL community, to create a space for you all within that community. So my first invitation to you is just to sort of take a moment. I know y'all got up early and it's raining outside, right? And so I just want you to take a moment to breathe and look at the people in the room and know that you're here, right? You're here, okay? And there's a lot in store for you over the next few days. So I'm gonna offer a couple of different, I actually have 6 invitations. So we're a little ahead of schedule, so if I run a little long, I'll be okay. So my first invitation to you over the next, you're here through Saturday afternoon, right? Is that right?
Saturday's the travel day.
Saturday's travel day, so you head out on Saturday. Okay. My first invitation, not while you're here, but also as you start to move through your own classes. How many of you're mostly seniors, juniors and seniors? Yeah, seniors? Okay. My first invitation to you is that you start thinking of yourself as a professional. So you spent 13 years in K-12. You're in your 4th year or maybe 5th, right? Or 6th, however long it takes us to get through, right? The BA, right? In all that time, somebody says, this is the assignment. This is what you need to do. This is the rubric. This is what it looks like to be a good student, right? And that's important work. It's important work to sort of learn how to discern what needs to be said, what needs to be done in those assignments. But you're seniors now, and I want you to start thinking of yourself as a professional. And when we put things in front of you, when assignments are put in front of you, when information is put in front of you to think, what is this for me? How does this serve me as a professional? So when I say start thinking like a professional, what I'm suggesting is I want you to start creating the measure for your own greatness, right? When I finished college, I had this sort of quarter-life crisis where I was like, that's what I call it, my quarter-life crisis, where I had sort of been thinking about opening doors. People told me, open doors, open doors, open doors. And then I realized I didn't know how to choose which one to go through, right? And so I want you to start thinking, what is your measure of greatness? What is that for you? So let me give you a couple of things that I think might be able to help you on that. So the next invitation I want to give you is I want to invite you to discern and embrace your own gifts, right? While you're here, but also when you walk out of this room. Now, gifts are different than skills, right? You can be trained to have skills. You've learned skills in all your years of education, but you also have gifts. You know, these gifts, you may not even realize they're your gifts because they come so naturally to you. They're just the way you work, right? And you may think everybody is like this. I have this story this interaction with one of my students. I'm in this role, ABC, Assistant Vice Chancellor role now, but I came from a role as a faculty member in communication studies. And I was talking to one of my students one day after class about, she's a senior and she was moving on, she's actually going to grad school. And we were talking about her work environment, and she started saying, yeah, I mean, she was talking about the team dynamics on her team and what was happening and how she was trying to help shape those team dynamics. And at the end, she said, yeah, but everybody can see that. And I said, no, Chris, stop right there, right? Everybody cannot see that. You can see that. And it looks simple to you because that is your gift, right? And there are a lot of different gifts out there. I have talked to students who have these gifts of like being able to translate the big picture to the small details and the tasks that need to be done. It might be something that maybe you're the opposite. Maybe you're the person in a group who ensures that you don't get lost in the details, that you keep the big picture in sight. Maybe you're a person who's really good at building a sense of community in the group that you work in. Maybe that's part of your gift. Maybe you're the person who sees the eye for detail. Like before the project goes out the door, they need to run it by you because you can pick out all those little details that need to be tweaked at the end. Maybe you're a person who's in the group and can look at everyone else and say, you know what so-and-so would be really good at? They'd be good at this. You know what so-and-so's really good at? They're really good at this. You know what so-and-so's really good? Maybe you're the person who can pick out who's struggling in the group and bring them back into the fold and bring them back in. Not all of those are your gifts. Maybe none of those are your gifts. But it's important for you to help to kind of take some time to discern and embrace what your gifts are. Because not everybody's going to see your gifts. Not everybody's going to see your gifts right off the bat. And so it's important for you to discern and learn and figure out what those gifts are so that you can embrace them, you can nurture them, and you can grow them, all right? How do you do that? Well, your gifts pretty much say this, they express themselves no matter where you are, right? So ask your mom, ask your friends, right? Ask your grandma, right? Ask anybody who knows you well. What is unique about me? Like, what do I bring to the table? Look at your interactions even with your friend group. What's the role you play there? That's going to tell you something about what your gifts are, okay? So I invite you to start thinking like a professional. Part of that is that I invite you to kind of discern and embrace your gifts. Okay. Now, along with your gifts, I invite you to define your purpose. And just like your gifts aren't your skill sets necessarily, but they interact, your purpose it's different than goals, right? Because your goals, you can check off. You accomplished it. You got that job. You finished that degree. You made that certain salary. You started your own business. You can check them off. Those are goals, and goals are important parts of helping you get helping you achieve your purpose. But your purpose is something that you continue to live out. You gotta live it out every day, and you live out that purpose no matter where you are, no matter what your job is. So in my personal experience, I say that my purpose is I create the conditions under which people can be the best version of themselves. I don't know what the best version of you is, but I want to create the conditions so that you can be it, so that you can discern it, so that you can pursue it. That's what my role is here at UNL in developing leadership and learning. I've had a consulting career, right? I did the same thing there. I was trying to create the conditions under which people can be the best versions of themselves. I've been in the classroom. I try to create the conditions under which people can be the best versions of themselves. When I'm with my friends, when I'm a parent, I'm always trying to create the conditions under which people can be the best versions of themselves, okay? Now maybe there's a certain kind of problem in the world that you are invested in solving, right? Maybe you just have a gift. Maybe you just have a gift for bringing people together from two sides, and you're really good at helping people see each other's point of view, and that your purpose is to sort of help people do that no matter where you are. There's lots of ways for that purpose to plan out. So in order for you to think like a professional, right? We've got to invite you to discern and embrace your gifts. And I invite you to work on and start defining your purpose. Okay? So now that we're working on our gifts, we're working on our purpose, right? The next thing is, I'm going to invite you in the next few days to invest in yourself. That's part of thinking like a professional, right? So we are going to give you tools, right? Here. You got to take the ones that work with you. You got to invest those tools. The tools don't do anything if you don't use them to invest in yourself. And when you invest in yourself, this is just how small businesses work too. What happens when you invest in your own small business and you become successful? What happens? Anybody know? It grows. And other people start investing in you. They start putting their confidence in you, right? So we're giving you tools over the next few days. And as you think about grad school, also understand grad school is kind of this liminal space. It's not, you're going to hear about this. It's not like being an undergrad. It's something different. And it's this split between being an undergrad and being a professional. And so when you start thinking about being and going to graduate school, it's important that you think about graduate school as an opportunity to pursue your purpose and amplify your gifts, right? So you need to look for a place where you can pursue your purpose, and you're gonna have the tools to invest in yourself, and other people are gonna invest in you so that you can pursue that purpose. Now here's the thing that I want you to understand. One last note about this. Right now, y'all are thinking about grad school. I'm like 85, 90, 95% sure that you think the point of grad school is that it's going to give you credibility, right? It's going to give you credibility to get that job, to get that new position, to build some knowledge and skill sets. And that is true. And it's true for the first year and a half, 2 years after graduation. But what I also want you to know is that script flips after 2 years. In other words, we as an institution get credibility from you, right? So you gotta stop thinking just about like, where am I gonna get the credibility? This degree is about me. No, because institutions like UNL, we're looking at who are we gonna be proud of in 10 years? What's your name? Otis. What's your last name, Otis?
Jackson.
Otis Jackson. In 10 years, it's not Otis Jackson out there going, I went to UNL. People are like, oh, I'm impressed, you went to UNL. No, in 10 years, it's people like us saying, well, you know, Otis Jackson went to UNL. And they say, oh, really? The script flips. And I want you to start thinking about your purpose and your gifts, knowing that that script is gonna flip, okay? So invest in yourself, because that is how that happens. All right, now, make sure I'm not skipping anything here. I'm gonna echo Dr. Perkins here. The other thing, because some of you are thinking, oh my gosh, that's a little overwhelming. I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what my gifts are. Guess what? None of us never really do completely. And even when we think we do, we lose our way sometimes. And that's okay, right? So it's important that you start building communities and people around you that help you discern that help you live that out, right? And so I'm inviting you over the next few days as Dr. Perkins has given all these examples of, to start building that community now with the people in this room, right? Because just like that script is gonna flip, right, in the next 10 years, y'all heard her give the examples, right? She's like, this is my postgrad, right? My postdoc, and this was one of my students, right? You are gonna be back in this room in a different seat, right? So this community is gonna help you get there. Maybe 4, 5, 6 of you bringing students back, right? We grow, that's how this community grows. It's how we build, it's how we preserve and promote our gifts and our purpose by supporting each other. So another thing that I wanna invite you to do in the next 2 days while you're here is pay attention to the other people in this room. Pay attention to what other people's gifts are. When you see their gifts, tell them. If you see that they bring the group together, they make people laugh, tell them. If you can see that they phrase things in a certain way so that you understand it better than you did before, tell them. If they say something that is so insightful that it just changed your perspective on everything, tell them, right? Because you need to start building your community now, not just so you can have that fun, but not too much fun, right? But so that you can stay true to your purpose and stay true to your gifts and have people who see those gifts, because I will tell you, you are gonna end up in environments where people do not see your gifts. And you are gonna need to go back to the people, and I do this all the time. I got my group of people, and I go back and I say, remind me who I am, and they remind me who I am. And I go back to the space that I'm working in, and I go be the person I know I am, right? So start building that community here today. So, think like a professional. Discern your gifts, define your purpose, invest in yourself, and start building the community that supports that now. And then, of course, I was assigned to welcome you here to UNL today. So I wouldn't be doing my job correctly if I didn't conclude with this invitation, which is, I hope you'll consider joining us here at UNL after this. All right. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for this process. It's such important work. We appreciate you all being here.